Hi class, welcome back to our discussion on polar coordinates. So going back to our part B here, where we plotted these two polar coordinates, you might be asking yourself, so if I look at that point and I think maybe I could represent that point with an angle of pi halves, because it looks an awful lot like that's 3 units up on pi halves. And I would say you'd be an astute student and you are correct. So we do have other representations for a point in polar coordinates. There are multiple different ways to write the same point with different angles, or of r being positive or r being negative. So we have two options here. If we want to alter our point a little bit in a different representation, we can find another representation either with r staying the same, and we can change the angle by using theta plus 2 pi k, or we can change the sign of r to negative r, and then we also change our angle to theta plus pi plus 2 pi k. Okay, and then here this is kind of like the general solution of our trigonometric equations, where we had the general solution and we had this integer k there. Well, k is going to be any integer, and it's essentially going to be a placeholder for us so that we can find specific representations within a particular interval. All right, so let's do two examples here, and then you guys will try the quick check too. So for part A, I want to find a representation for the point 2 pi thirds. So part A wants me to find a representation where r is positive, but my angle theta is between 2 pi and 4 pi. All right, well that's pretty straightforward. So r is already positive, so I'm not going to change the sign of r. So that means I'm going to use this first representation formula here. So that means I just have to add some multiple of 2 pi k to my angle pi thirds. Okay? So I need to pick an integer value for k that's going to fit my interval here from 2 pi to 4 pi. So if I let k be 0, I'm only going to get pi thirds, and that's going to be too small to fit within my interval. So let's start with k equals 1. So pi over 3 plus 2 pi times 1. All right, and I get the point 2, 7 pi over 3. All right. Now, is that the only representation between 2 pi and 4 pi? Well, yes, because notice if I let the next integer is 2, and if I let k be 2, I already have 4 pi, so that'd be pi thirds plus 4 pi, and that is going to be too big now to be in my interval from 2 pi to 4 pi. So I have one answer for my representation of that point. Okay, but what if I now, for part B, want to change the sign of r? So now I want r to be negative, so I'm changing the sign of r, and I want my angle to still be between 0 and 2 pi. So I'm going to change the 2 to a negative 2, but now I'm going to use this second representation formula where I have to change my angle. I have to add pi to my angle, and then I'm going to use that 2 pi k possibly to get my angle, that new angle in the right interval. Okay. So theta is pi thirds, and then I add pi to that, and then maybe I have to add a 2 pi k. So first I'm going to simplify the pi thirds plus pi, and I get 5 4 pi over 3. Okay, but I only want my angle to be between 0 and 2 pi. And notice that if I let k be anything other than 0, or if I let k be 0, I'm going to get 4 pi over 3, which is within my interval. But if I let k be 1, I'm going to get something bigger than my interval here. So I'm just going to let k be 0, and my representation is going to be -2, excuse me, 4 pi over 3. And that is another way to write 2 pi thirds with a negative unit. All right, you have a wonderful day. I hope this video helped.